Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. We're here in the kitchen because I want to talk about a toaster, but it's also a Star Frontiers video. This is a toaster review, so if you've come here thinking this is for the TSR game, click elsewhere, but it does have a very strong connection to Star Frontiers itself. But I will preface this by saying we're just talking about a toaster here. Now, what the connection is for Star Frontiers, my toaster that I got for like 30 years ago, this is an old Avanti. This thing is awesome. I got it because it looks a little Buck Rogers-ish, and it worked for me for about 30 darn years, and then eventually it packed it in. It won't like stay down anymore, and I thought, right, well, it's time to say goodbye to my toaster of 30 years. I did try fixing it. I went in and gave it my best shot. I thought, oh, that might make an interesting little video for you guys, but no, it's I can't get the screws underneath to come out, so the repair job never happened. However, that did open me up for, hey, it's time to buy a new toaster, and there have been some pretty space-age looking toasters out there, and I remember seeing one that I thought, this is from Star Frontiers. This is exactly what I'm interested in because of a Star Frontiers connection. I was doing in my campaign headquarters, living quarters, apartment buildings, that kind of thing. You know, the adventurers have to find somebody, so they've got to go through this apartment complex and seek out a particular item for a campaign adventure. Makes sense. That's totally understandable. Happens a lot. I'm sure it's happened to you. And in going through the apartment, I was trying to space ageify all of the things that were in the house. And when I came to the kitchen, I suddenly thought to myself, what am I going to do to make this kitchen seem space age? Do I put buttons and readouts on the sink? Do I make the fridge somehow a robot? Do I put a screen on a toaster? And I thought, no, all of these items are already at peak perfection for their design already. There's not much you can do with a sink to make it space age. A tap with water flowing through it is about as basic as it has been for thousands of years for us. You can't improve that design at all. Now, I remember there was an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where Worf is undergoing some surgery, or maybe it was Deep Space Nine, can't remember, but basically in the filming of the scene, one of the medics gets out what are essentially a pair of scissors. I think they use like wire cutters or something, but scissors with blinking lights on them. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Look, we all want to make stuff as space age as possible, especially those of us doing a Star Frontiers campaign. But you're putting blinking lights on a pair of scissors? Scissors have been perfect for thousands of years. You can't improve that design. But there I am. I have to make this apartment something that the characters are going to search through, and I've got to make it look space age. And I think I did sci-fi futurize the appliances in the kitchen, among which was the toaster. And I remember coming away from that thinking, this is dumb. Why are you putting a screen on a toaster? That doesn't serve any purpose at all. That's an idiotic thing. You're just doing it to be space age. You're as guilty as those people in the 50s who put swirling, orbit discs around things to make them look like they were from Buck Rogers. That's dumb. Well, fast forward to the present era. I need a new toaster, and I have seen one that has a screen on it. The Revolution R180. I thought to myself, that's exactly the thing I was talking about in my Star Frontiers campaign. In my head, I was trying to rationalize, do you put a screen on a toaster? No, that's dumb. And now it really exists. And I was thinking, man, if this thing ever packs it in, I want to get that toaster because that's coming full circle, right? That's me doing the space age toaster thing from my Star Frontiers campaign. I got to do it. Unfortunately, then I watched some reviews, and it's not a good toaster. It's over-engineered. You push a button to make the toast go down, it lets you know when it's finished with a little beep and then it rises back up. It's got a touch screen. It's very futuristic and cool in that regard, but it doesn't toast very well. It's really, really expensive. 450 bucks I think it's going for right now. And Freakin' Reviews, actually, when he did his review, he followed up years later saying, yeah, it died after about a year or 6 months or something. And I thought, okay, I'm not forking over top dollar for something that is dumb and doesn't even toast when it's a toaster. So the premise of this video is, did I buy a Star Frontiers toaster? Yes, but no. I didn't get the Revolution R180. Instead, ta-da! I got the Chefman toaster. Let me just fire it up here for you. This is the Chefman Smart Touch 2-slice digital toaster. It's very, very cool. It's got blinky lights on it and a readout and things that I can press, and it's got a whole bunch of really neat features in it. And I think it looks space age enough, don't you? Yeah, just look at this thing. Look at all the little lights and readouts and buttons and controls. It's very cool. It gives me the Star Frontiers vibe that I was trying to achieve with that original, wouldn't in the future toasters look way more space age? This is. So I'm going to give you the full unboxing, the full review of it, and just say how much I am glad that I finally found a Star Frontiers toaster, but without going super into debt and spending a lot of money on the Revolution R180 for a bad idea. Okay, let's unbox this thing first of all. And there we have it, the Chefman Smart Touch 2-slice digital toaster. Let's open this guy up and have a look. And now, final reveal. There we go. Wow. Nice. Okay. Wow, it's actually a lot lighter than I thought. There's a protective screen thing there. That's good. There it is compared to my old one, and a bit taller, but pretty much the same size front and back. Same length of lead. For some reason, always wants to come out of the side, not out of the back, but that's all right. Okay, well, let's plug it in and turn it on and try our first slice of toast. Okay, let's plug it in. Contact. Ooh, okay, it's lit up. Ooh, I guess I just say bread, or that would be bagel. Okay, so blue means that it's that mode. All right. That'll be to defrost. Gonna start off, I don't know, let's go with 4. I have no idea for my initial try. I'm gonna give it a shot with a white piece of bread. And let's go. I am about to blow up the house. Nope, I'm fine. So we'll come back in 2.5 minutes. Okay, oh, it beeps. And it says ready. That's nice of it. How are we looking? Well, hardly any toasting on the back there and a weird V shape there. However, this is its initial inaugural toasting, so I'm going to experiment for a bit. I'm going to try out a few different things, and I'll get back to you, but for now, that's my toast. Okay, here we are several weeks later. You can tell the toaster has been getting some use, and I wanted to do some proper toasting testing, because that first slice that I used, that was probably not a good indicator of what your experience might be like. So I've got 3 different loaves of bread here that we're going to try out. I got some garden variety El Cheapo white bread from the grocery store, and I've got some kind of nicer stuff from a nearby bakery, and I've got another homemade loaf of bread. We've got a bread machine, and that's what I was using for my inaugural test. I think this stuff has, like, I guess because it's a higher quality bread, this stuff toasts different from these ones here. So what we're going to do is just do a slice of each. Let's start off with El Cheapo Garden Variety Easy White Bread. I think the it must be like yeast quantities or something like that in these loaves of bread are faster to burn, perhaps, because I'm going to put this in here, and instead of the high, well, I think we had it on 3 before. We got it on 3 again. Yeah. So I'm going to set this guy. Let me just move the camera. Okay, so again, just number 3, middle of the road. Let's fire this up. This is standard basic variety white bread. Let's see what this does. So there is number 3. Not much toasting on either side. I know it's a little bit bright in here, but yeah, that is what number 3 will get you, and definitely it is toasted more at the top than it is on the bottom. So that's with the cheap stuff. In comparison, I'm going to do another one at level 4. Oh yeah, much darker, as you can see, and a little more evenly. I mean, it is definitely brighter at the top, or more toasted at the top than it is down below, but you can see the difference. That's like setting 3 versus setting 4 on El Cheapo brand toast. So what I'm going to try next is some slightly nicer bread. This is from Cobb's brand. I don't know if you have Cobb's where you live, but this is a kind of a fancier bakery style slice of bread. I mean, it's still a franchise. We're not talking, you know, a personal little bakery shop, but I think it's a good indication of machine engineered bread that will, you know, give us a little bit more of a comparison. So these are definitely industrial grade manufactured loaves of bread. This is only a slight step up. I believe I'm going to stick with level 4 because I think we're going to find a good comparison to that slice there. Here we go. And now Cobb's bread comes out about the same. Now, interestingly, not as toasted on the back, but roughly the same. Yeah. Interestingly, though, when I do our actual bread that we make ourselves, this stuff here, I need to crank it way up. Let's do that. Hang on, I'm going to get the angle right here. I'm just going to cut in the center. There we go. Okay, so homemade slice of bread. This one, we have to go to a higher setting. I have to go up to like number 6 to get even remotely similar to those other ones. And here is the last one. Now, definitely darker. I probably should have done it on a level 5, but I do find this one you need to cook, like you need to toast it at a higher level than these other breads. Let me do a little shot here. Okay, so here are the examples of our loaves of bread. These are the 2 that are on the level 3. El Cheapo Garden Variety, you know, doesn't really toast terribly well, but that's for that guy. Our Cobb's is here. Much more even, but hardly anything on that side. That's on level 4. And then our homemade slice of bread has to be cranked up to level 6. I probably could have cooked that at level 5, but all of them I think are guilty of more burned along the top. That one not quite as obvious, not even on the back. But you can see definitely more burned at the top, hardly anything down at the bottom, no matter what setting you have it on. So that's it with bread. It's certainly fine. Okay, so what about waffles? Let's try those. These are frozen, like these are straight out of the freezer minutes ago. So, in fact, they're actually frozen together. There we go. So set them in there. And I guess we're going to use the freezer functionality this time. That turns blue. I don't want them to be super toasted. I just want them heated up. So let's go good old number 3, I guess. Let's try that. And a thing worth noting, when the toast is done, whatever it is that you're toasting, the display stays on for a little while, like a couple of minutes. I thought, oh, do I have to turn it off? No, it'll eventually turn itself off. I think what that also does, it lets you know when the toaster is ready for a full heating up again. Because I had about 4 or 5 slices of toast going the other day, and I put the first load in, and it was like, I don't know, let's say 3 minutes was showing here. Then popped them out, buttered them, got ready to go, put in another set, same setting, hit the thing, and it was down to like 2.5 minutes instead of 3. Now I'm wondering if that's like protective circuitry so that the toaster doesn't overheat. It wants to fully cool down before you use another load. I think that's what the display also does. It turns off when it's fully ready, because I tried that as an experiment. I actually did a couple of loads of the toast with waiting for this display to turn back off, and when it did, it was back up to the full 3 minutes. So I think that's a little bonus feature or extra capability of this toaster, is it will let you know when it's ready by actually turning off the display. So you still got 30 seconds to go. I'm just going to look in here. If I think that looks toasted enough, I can hit the cancel and have it just pop up, which is a nice little feature. How are these looking? Well, are they even warm? They're warmed up. Let's show the other feature then while we're here. I'm going to turn this back on. So again, that was what, 2.5 minutes before? Now it's 2:15. I think that was different from before. I think, again, you got to let that display turn off. Now, if I decided, oh, I think it's almost ready, it could do with a bit more crispness, I'd sure like to add a few seconds, you can. You can just do the little +10, and it'll add another 10 seconds as you go. Nice little feature. Okay, there we go. I'm going to say that is good and done. It doesn't look that much different, but I'm pretty happy with that. Waffles do toast very, very nicely. Yum, yum, yum. And for the last example, I'm going to do a bagel, because this thing has a bagel mode, which we're going to be playing around with. So let's fire up a bagel. I just realized these are all Compliments brands. This is not a sponsored video. I just, by fluke, happen to have got Compliments brand for each of these items. Anyway, let's get out a bagel. Now, there's 2 things about the bagel mode that I like, but one is kind of confusing. First thing, and this is from the front of the box itself, you don't put it in intuitively that way. You actually put it in with the part you want to toast facing outward, which is a little weird. But what it does is it actually cooks, I'll just lift you up, it cooks the outside first with the inside not even turned on, and then it will turn on the inner elements with like a minute to spare. So you end up with a nice bit of toasting on the surface of the bagel, and then just a nice little warming up of the outside. So let's try on number 5 this time for something different, and we will put it into bagel mode. That is lit up in blue. So what that's going to do is have the outer elements are going to light up, and the inner elements are not going to just yet. Let me launch. Give it a second to warm up. Yeah, it's going to be about 4 minutes. So the 4 minutes is going to give the outer, or like the more toasted side, a really good cook. And then the inner elements, which are not on currently, let me just show you. So if I do that, you can see the elements there and there are lit, but if you notice, the inner elements are not lit up. So they are not going to cook until, oh, I don't know, roughly about a minute left. Then suddenly there'll be a very light click noise, and these will turn on. So you will have a nicely toasted surface area. The middle of the bagel will be nicely toasted, but this part here will be nicely toasted, but the outer element will be just warmed up and given a little nice enhancement And I think, honestly, it does taste really, really good. I also tried this with English muffins. Same thing happened there. You have them face outward, and then it cooks those surface areas from the split really, really nicely, and it only makes the outer shell warmed up a bit so that you can have a nice toasted English muffin, and in this case, the same with the bagel. I don't know if you heard that, but at the 45-second mark, it made a click. And now you will see, if I can line this up correctly, the inner, let's get some darkness in there, the inner elements are starting to warm up. There we go. Kind of make that out? Yeah, so now, there we go. Now the shell, the outer part of the bagel, is going to have a nice little heating up, a nice little toasting to it, and I think it should come out super, super tasty. And here we go. So there is the nicely toasted bagel, and this side is still quite, this side is still quite soft, pliable, not as toasty as that. And here's the other one. Again, super good for spreading your butter on, but the other side, still quite soft and pliable. So really, really like that feature. The bagel capability / English muffin, as I said, did it with English muffin. The bagel capability, I really, really like what that does. It makes a surprising difference in how the muffin / bagel turns out every time. So yeah, the Freshman Toaster, I really, really like it. Nice. Yeah, I'm gotta say I'm very happy with the Chefman Digital Slice, Digital Touch. It is Smart Touch. It's a very, very cool design. Now, again, the consistency in the toasting, like that side looks great. That side's kind of brown. Can you make that out? Yeah, like it's not the most consistent toasting job that it does. Yeah. If you want a space-age toaster like I did, if you want a Star Frontiers toaster like I did, it looks the part, it does toast, that bagel feature's really, really good and also used for English muffins. It is very, very decent. It does do, it's a little lighter at the bottom than it is at the top as per the little test run that I did, but generally speaking, it toasts bread. That's really all you want it to do, and it looks the part. I love all the blinky lights and all the stuff that it does. That's exactly what I was hoping for with my Star Frontiers toaster. So, that's my story. I know, again, this seems like unrelated to Star Frontiers in any way, but for me personally in my campaign where I was trying to figure out how do you make a futuristic looking kitchen? Do you put blinking lights on things like scissors? No. But then, do you put a screen on a toaster? Yes, but it doesn't work very well for the Revolution R180. It does work really well with the Chefman Smart Touch. So I like this. I'm very pleased with this design. I'm wondering what the longevity is going to be. Is it going to last 30 years like my other toaster did? We'll come back to that one someday. But I'm very happy with it. And I just thought, I got to do a little video about a Star Frontiers toaster because that's what this is to me. I'm going to leave it there. So until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.